Hello. So if you're anything like me, you are an artistic, creative person and you have these little quirks about yourself that sometimes can be pretty frustrating. I kept on hearing the term adult ADHD floating around online and I never really looked into it, but when I did, everything seemed to hit home and I was like, wow, this is totally me. It's kind of crazy. So in this video, I want to share what I learned about it, how I think it relates to an artist or specifically myself, and like my little solutions that I notice I do that help me make me feel better about it. I can definitely see myself harnessing the positive side to it, but then also letting the negative side to it get to me. I felt the need to share this because I was like, oh my gosh, and then I looked it up and then I did notice that there's a ton of articles about it. So it's very interesting to see like other people's perspective and whatnot. So anywho, I'm just gonna talk about that, and I feel like I need to share it and maybe it would help someone feel heard and comforted and it resonates with people because that's how I felt. And it was like a moment that clicked in my head that I could identify as this might be an issue, so I can do this to solve it. So that was super helpful. So anyways, I'm gonna share that, and in the background, or the foreground should I say, I'm going to be doing like this little goldfish illustration. I've been obsessed with goldfish lately. I don't know why. They're fun to draw and paint. Surprise, surprise, a new obsession. But anyways, I'm going to get into the video, share those things that I notice about myself, ways that I solve them, I guess. And yeah, hope you enjoy. Quick disclaimer, I have never seen a therapist before. I didn't go to school for psychology or any of that. I just literally Googled everything and it seemed like it resonated with me, so I'm sharing it. So the first thing that I noticed that was like the big thing for me, and I started reading all into it, was hyper focusing. And this is basically when you become so engrossed in what you're doing that you block everything out. That is totally me, because whenever I start a new project or learn a new art medium or start a new like a whole new hobby, I become so into it that I forget about, I gotta fold those clothes, I gotta do the dishes, oops, I forgot to pay the bill, or like it's not good. It's not good, but it can be very good at the same time. The good ways about it is you can accomplish a lot of things and do them quickly. You are very focused in, so you can see a lot of progression quickly. I think the downside to it is that you can forget about your day-to-day responsibilities or other things that need your attention, but you're so engrossed in, okay, what can I do to this painting to make it look better, that you forget about everything else. So that was totally me. The second one was impulsiveness. Super bad. This is probably the worst one. If I become excited about something, or I want, learning a new art medium, again, we'll just use that as an example. I will again hyper focus into it, forget about everything, and impulsively go and buy things, buy. Going to Joann's or Hobby Lobby and just buying a bunch of art supply because I want to do this project, I want to learn more. And instead of like taking it slow and figuring out what I exactly need, or if it's something that I even want to do and invest my time and money in, I just jump to it and I go spend money. So that's not good. I think the craziest impulsive purchase that I would have ever made is a kiln, because I love doing ceramics. I did ceramics in high school and I wanted to start doing it again. So I went to Hobby Lobby and I bought like this giant block of clay. And you need to, it's not air dry clay, like you need to fire it in a kiln. I do not have a kiln, but I was gonna go buy a kiln until I saw how much they cost. And then I also rented an apartment, and you need like a special breaker and electric unit to have a kiln because they take a lot of power. Yeah, it's a whole thing. So impulsiveness, just kind of jumping into it and not really thinking things through. Not good. And the third one is being easily distracted. So this probably has to be like the biggest, well, I say that about all of them, but another like breakthrough moment that I realized, like, I am so easily distracted. I have so many ideas in my head and I cannot pick one to try or to expertise in. Like, I have to do a little bit of this, get bored, try something else, do a little bit of that, get bored, go back to the other thing. Whether it's art supplies or projects or just you know, anything that I can keep my hands moving and keep creating and just keep going, keep going. So I think that's another sign. It's like you're fidgety. I'm not like physically fidgety, but I do notice that I have to always keep busy. Downside to this and being easily distracted is that you become so, or you fall into like this vicious cycle. You put all your time and focus into doing multiple things at the same time because you can't focus on one thing. You're easily distracted, so you get nothing done, and that's like super overwhelming. I like to feel productive. I like to get things done, you know, check off the to-do list, but it's hard to do when you can't focus on one thing. I was reading this article that talked about having people with ADHD have kind of like a reverse funnel. So when you think of a funnel, you have all these ideas, and the big part of it gets narrowed down into one idea that you can focus on and you can do an you know, get your expertise in, or whatever subject you're in. But people with ADHD, they have a reverse funnel. So you have one idea that starts at the tip of the funnel and it widens out into and branches off into all these different possibilities, and you become so overwhelmed with all these different possibilities that you can't pick one. So guess what? You end up doing nothing and you end up feeling crappy about yourself. That is where the downside of it is. Like, I just always felt overwhelmed or anxious, and it's not good. That's probably the worst one. But you know, besides breaking the bank with being impulsive. But yeah, I thought that was a very good metaphor, analogy. I don't know what it is, but it's a very good description of what it's like in my head, a reverse funnel. Okay, and the three main solutions that I feel like work the most for me, it's nothing that I've seriously implemented, but I do things on a day-to-day basis that I notice make me feel better. So the first one is having a schedule. Because I'm so easily distracted, or I have a bunch of things I want to get done and that overwhelms me, I notice that when I have a schedule and I write things down, it's a lot easier for me to stay on task. I like creating my own schedule. So staying on task and having a concrete view of everything I want to get done helps me feel better. So I pull all these thoughts out of my head, like simple things, doing the dishes or mailing a letter, or, you know, just for an example. I'll write it down and it's on a list and it's there for me to prioritize. The second one is kind of similar, and it's bullet journaling and having a plan, also a sketchbook. So again, taking things out of my head and putting it on paper helps me have this concrete view of what's in my head, and it helps me distribute my energy and time to them accordingly. So for example, I love bullet journaling because that's just a way for me to do like a little schedule. Ironically, it's hard for me to do the bullet journaling and get the energy to do it, but once I do it, I feel so much better. I have a little schedule, I have lists, I have everything that's important to me in my head written down on paper, and it's like a bonus because it's kind of artistic to me, because I like to do the little the spreadsheets in the beginning of the month, and the little artwork on the side of the pages, all that stuff. So there's that. And another form of that would be sketchbooking. So I have like this little blue sketchbook, and whenever I have a thought or idea that I want to try to make, I write it down in my sketchbook, or I make a little doodle, or I just take some time and I just draw in the sketchbook, and it helps me see it again, physically see it on paper and not in floating around the gray matter of my head. and I'm able to let it sit in there. Sometimes I go back to it and flip through, and I'm able to again see what I want to put my time and energy to. I noticed that this also helps me be less impulsive when it comes to art projects, because I can see all these things and ideas on paper. I am able to see, like, you know what, I'm not really interested in that, I'm gonna put that on the back burner. Or you know what, I actually really am liking this sketch, I want to make a doll out of it, or I want to make a sticker out of it. So yeah, bullet journaling and sketchbooking definitely help me on a day-to-day basis. And the third one is pretty much beneficial to everybody, and it's exercising and being outside. So recently I had a baby, and I have been home with the baby for it's almost been 4 months now. I don't know where the time is gone. I love being a stay-at-home mom, but I have a lot of time on my hands and I'm always indoors. And I noticed that when I get outside, or even open the windows for some fresh air, but specifically going outside, getting sunshine, getting fresh air, and just being outdoors really helps boost my mood. So one of the things that I was reading is that people with ADHD, they're always looking for excitement, they're always looking for that dopamine, that you know, it's the specific chemical in your brain that makes you happy, or you know, gives you happy feelings, I think. Don't mark my word on that, but anyways, you're always looking for that excitement. And when you're outside, when you're exercising, even if you're doing like a little walk, your brain is creating dopamine. So I think that's why I feel so much better after I go outside for a walk and get that exercise in. And just being outdoors, I'm less likely to be on my phone, and I'm not mindlessly scrolling. That's one thing that I am really trying not to do, is getting sucked into mindlessly scrolling through Instagram or Pinterest or YouTube, because that's when I notice that I feel the crappiest, in a sense that I have all these ideas and all these thoughts, but I can't seem to pick one to try or to put my energy into. So if I'm outside, I'm not scrolling, I'm not stuck in the screen, and it's just nice. It's really nice. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope it resonated with you if you notice some of these little quirks about yourself, and I hope the little solutions that I mentioned, even though they're quite obvious that they help anyone, I hope that they can help you into staying on top of it and not letting yourself fall into the dumps of our brain, because that's probably the hardest part. So thank you for watching. Have a great rest of your week and happy creating.